Good evening, good evening. It is Wednesday, the 19th day of December of the year 2018. You like my sport? You like my wear? I even have a hoodie. I'm looking cool. I'm looking like a director of athletics, but this is the director of athletics. I'm Dr. Peter KB St. Jean. I'm here. This is the Shy Peace Show. Just realized my overhead is going to come a little bit later on to remind you that you can reach us at PO Box 308 you can reach us at 11451 South Michigan Avenue in Chicago, PO Box 286308, and you can reach us at 716-603-0992. I'm Dr. Peter KB St. Jean here hosting the Shy Peace Show. We have one more show for 2018 after this one. Please join me to welcome our guest, Dr. Jack Surridge from North Park University, Director of Athletics. Jack, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes,
Great
yes.
Opportunity.
Thank you. And I have the pleasure of riding down here with you, and I have the pleasure of riding back with you afterwards, discussing some things. I understood that our men basketball team, they're playing over in...
Right, they're over at Dominican tonight, so I think tip-off time's 7 o'clock.
Oh, tip-off time is 7, so not quite ready yet. I was trying to get them live, but we can't get them there. We'll talk a little bit about a few things. We will talk a lot about a little about a lot, whichever one comes first, but we only have 25 minutes. So Dr. Surridge is the first person that we have interviewed on the Shy Peace Show that has a doctorate in genetics. You know, you all want to know what that is, right? We have a lot of young Chicago folks that want to be genetics, want to be some sort of scientist, want to be different things. And you know, the Shy Peace Show, the question is, how do you contribute to a more peaceful Chicago? So that's going to be our first question to Dr. Surridge. And then we're going to ask him, how did he become a geneticist? Or how did he get to have a PhD in genetics? What's that anyway? And what does that have to do with quality of life? And how can that help to create a more peaceful world and all of this? So Jack, thank you one more time for being here.
Well, thanks a lot for inviting me.
So tell me a little bit of yourself, kind of where you grew up, where you're from.
Sure. I'm originally from Pacific Northwest, around Seattle area. Mm-hmm. So I grew up there and had the good fortune to move around a little bit because my dad was in the military. Went down to El Paso 3 different times as I was growing up. When my dad went to school, he was in the Army, and so I was able to move around to some warmer climates. Then, as fate would have it, my high school coach invited me to come to the Midwest, and I've pretty much been in the Midwest ever since.
Yes.
So I went to undergrad in Nebraska. Near Lincoln at a small liberal arts school to become a teacher. And I'd say at the time of my high school, my heroes were my teachers and my coaches. And I sort of wanted to follow in that kind of footstep, and I followed my high school football coach to the middle of Nebraska.
So I do not know of a lot of football players. Well, I don't know a whole lot of football players that have PhDs. Well, eventually get. Maybe they eventually get. I mean, a football player can do almost anything. But you are a football. Were you playing football as a way of paying school, or are you playing football as a way to probably get in the NFL? What do you think?
Oh no, I knew I was not fast enough to be in that caliber of company. So I really had an academic interest in biological sciences, more specifically. Humans, then that sort of morphed into, okay, here's an opportunity to go to graduate school in that discipline. And so that started out as a zoology major and did my research in genetics.
So I know to do a PhD, one of the things you have to do is you have to have advanced knowledge, right? You have to find some gap in knowledge, some gap in information that didn't exist before, for the most part, that you contributed. So what was your contribution to the field? Was your dissertation?
Well, my research was on genetic effects of amphetamines. So at the time, and still to this day, that's a recreational drug that has caused some difficulty in our culture, and I was curious to know whether there were genetic effects of that particular drug group. So that's what I did my research on.
So do you find connections between that and do you use it? How often do you use your genetics information? How most valuable?
Well, in my current job, very little. But I had the good fortune to teach in my discipline, to coach a variety of sports, and then later on to become a administrator. So along the line, I've, instead of wearing 3 hats, moved that down to 1 hat. Now I coach the coaches, but I've always felt like coaching is just an extension of teaching, and so that's where I felt my calling was.
Folks, I remind you, you are looking at the Shy Peace Show. I'm your host, Dr. Peter KB St. Jean. Here, this is a live call-in show. You can call us at 312-738-1060. We are talking to our guest here, Dr. Jack Surridge from North Park University. He's the director of athletics here at the university. He's going to tell us in a minute what really does a director of athletics, what does that person really do? And how does that contribute to the well-being of the students? He'll tell us a bit about North Park University and how athletics fit in. And for those of you young, as this actually Lauren here is one of my former students, and she is on the basketball team here from the Chicago area. So he will connect with us some things associated with athletics and academics. So please call us in a few minutes. That's 312-738-1060. So tell us, Director of Athletics, what exactly is that?
I think the simplest way to put it would be that I coach the coaches.
Coach the coach, okay.
Yeah, so it involves a lot of things. Some of those are programmatic, some of those are budget kinds of things. But I feel like my main calling at this point is to be a mentor for the coaching staff. That's my team now.
So tell me, what is your philosophy when you bring them together and you have men and women sports, you have different sports, what do they coach them into?
Well, I think you're looking to have a high quality experience for those students who choose North Park as a place to go to school. I've always kind of prefaced my recruiting comments to students considering North Park is that if for whatever reason your career as an athlete is cut short, I want this to be the school for you. You would still be here even if athletics didn't draw you here. So, but a quality experience both in the classroom and in your athletics is the main goal. We want you to have some balance in your life. And that, for us at North Park, means being involved in a lot of things. The more engaged you are in both the classroom and co-curricular opportunities, we think the better your experience is going to be.
Good. So what type of student? We have a caller coming in. Well, let's take the caller and then we will ask Dr. Surridge. Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for calling. For reaching us here on the Shy Peace Show. May I please have your question or your comment?
Yes, and it's a question, and thank you for taking the call. And let me wish all your listeners and your guests, and also you, a wonderful holiday and Merry Christmas to y'all's family. Now to your guests, I'm going to ask you a question. Because you say you study also genetics. Just say from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, even the early part of the 90s, when you played sports and you had an injury, they take you in, give you a couple of shots of cortisone, and bring you out, send you back out. And you say you're teaching the coaches. Well, now they're using even a different kind of drug besides cortisones, and eventually it's going to hurt you down the road just like cortisone did. And trust me, I have so many problems now with cortisone shots. I've had over 70 cortisone shots from the time of playing ball, even up until now. And we continue to keep taking it. But now they got something stronger, and from what I understand, it's a little bit more powerful. It helps you to go back out quicker, don't feel anything, and it holds for a while, but yet and still, it's just like cortisone. It's going to hurt you down the road. So I'd like to know, what is your honest opinion of that? Because I coached at one time, and I don't want to see my kids or my grandchildren going through the same thing that what I did. So I'd like to know your honest opinion. Please give us your honest opinion about this. Let me get out there. Thank you for taking the call so I can hear your response.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we know we have a next caller. Next caller, just hold on, please. Dr. Surridge?
I think you really bring up a great point, and I can resonate with what you're talking about because of the time that I was playing sports. The emphasis was on, okay, just get back out there, whether you're ready or not, or play through the pain, or that whole mentality of what was, I think, termed mental toughness, which was really to ignore the symptoms of things that were really quite serious and debilitating. So I would say that our protocols have changed dramatically in the last 20 years in particular. So for at the time that I was playing, it would have been fairly easy for a coach to overcall the opinion of, I'll say, somebody that was the athletic trainer, or a coach could find a doctor that would get a player back out there in a much more aggressive fashion and probably put them at risk. That is not where we are at all, and our quality of care is really very high, and neither I or any coach would ever overcall the medical authority, which in this case is a certified athletic trainer, and we also have access to two team doctors and fellows that are in sports medicine. So
things have changed from 20 years ago.
Dramatically. But I know exactly what you're talking about, whether that was using ice or whether that was using cortisone. The whole point of it was to basically play when you were hurt. And that is something that will cause long-term effects. And again, I would say, thankfully, people can't do what I did or that you did. That's much more difficult to do. They may still do that at the professional level, but at the collegiate level, that's very difficult to do.
Thank you, caller. Very great question. Thank you so much for asking. Our next caller, may you please give us a question or comment, please?
Yes, I have a question. Often at Division III schools such as North Park, a large percentage of the African American males who are there for athletics, but often come underprepared for college and for rigorous curriculum, and with the pressure of athletics, may not be as successful as they would like, and sometimes they return to communities in a non-peaceful state. How would you recommend changing that course and that pattern?
Okay, I'm not certain that I understand all of your question, but I would say that an at-risk student is going to be part of our...
I'm sorry, what you said, caller?
Yeah, I'm not talking about putting forward and front-loading that they're at risk, but they may be coming from under-resourced high schools, and as a result of the schedule that they have to keep for athletics, and adapting to college, as many other freshmen do, they may struggle some to the point where they're not able to continue past their first year, and they return to the communities from which they came, often in a state of not being at peace. whether they're coming from Chicago or sometimes from suburbs or from smaller towns. But this often happens to African American males at Division III schools. And what is North Park doing to change that trend, or to ensure that that trend is not part of its narrative?
So, caller, if I understand it correctly, I just want to ask another thing just to make sure that Dr. Surridge understands. We know also that some athletes who go to D3 schools who do not have the opportunity to have their schools paid, and sometimes want an opportunity to play because they like to play. Some of them actually even have problems with stable housing, problems with with square meals, right? Problems with transportation. So are you talking about the fact that if they come from under-resourced areas and they come to the university and they're probably, whether they are borderline academic or not, but they have other complexities in their life, to what extent or how does the university prepare them to deal with those type of difficulties? That type of question, is that kind of what you're asking? Caller? I assume
Yes,
that, well,
I'm
let's
sorry.
assume that's
I
what
got
the caller is asking.
disconnected. I'm back.
I think the first answer that I would have is that what we're trying to do is create a cohort. This cohort may be their team. That's maybe the thing that attracted them initially to the university. This cohort may also be a program such as Compass on our campus. And this Compass program actually takes place the week before school starts. And this is trying to prepare you for, these are the realities of college. You have more what seems to be discretionary time. So how do you organize your time? Where can you get help for classes that you might be having difficulty with? How do you get a tutor for a class that you may be having difficulty with? Is it unusual or is it common to seek help? All of those things are, I think, parts of reducing the risk of losing the student. These are ways that you are building a family type of atmosphere. This cohort cares about me. We also have introduced in the last 3 years something that we call faculty fellows. So within each department, we're also asking faculty members to serve as mentors for students. And if a student is having difficulty in that particular area, we can identify a faculty fellow that can help mentor them. So this is not their academic advisor. This is actually a mentor in that particular area. So we can't eliminate all risk. There's no question about that. But we try to reduce the risk of a student dropping out or not being prepared by offering cohorts or special programming.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, caller. Thank you so much for the question. We have another caller. Caller, right, thank you so much for calling.
Yes, this is me again, and I just want to piggyback a little on your last caller ask you a question, and because I know this gentleman, you can see it in his face, there's some things that you're probably not able to say, but let me tell you the truth. Sports is a great big part of schooling. Monies are funded through sports. You'd be surprised, Miss or Mr., whoever just asked that question. Sports play a great big part of education, the facilities that children or grown men go to. They make a lot of money. You get TV money. You get sponsor money. You get a lot of scholarship money that it triggers down from the top all the way stops at the students, the players, the sports player. I remember Patrick Ewing when he was playing, and the man could not read or write, but yet still they was calling him all names and whatnot. That was then. Now, black athletes are smarter. They even, if they come in and they get a good education, because now they taught a little bit better to get an education in case you don't make it. And if they do or don't make it, either way it go, you see a lot of athletes come back and get their degrees.
So, caller, you're saying, I know, caller, I have an ex-caller calling in, but you're saying now that, it is getting better to the sense that more focus, the athletes are a little more aware, and universities are probably doing more than just exploiting athletes as they did in the past.
That's right. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for the call, caller. I really appreciate it. Thanks for calling back. Hey, caller, you are here with us, Dr. Peter KB St. Jean and Dr. Jack Surridge, the Director of Athletics at North Park University. May I please have your question or comment? Caller, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. May I please have your question or comment?
Well, first, let me note that I have a Master of Science degree in medical radiation physics.
Okay.
I, as your esteemed guest, have an insight in genetics. I had to take that. Now, my question is, for a comment, with pro athletes, it seems to be a combination of nature and nurture. They've been blessed with these God-given abilities, but yet we see an increase in domestic violence. Cases in point, you have Ray McDonald with the NFL, Patrick Kane a few years ago in the NHL, Bobby Hall again with the NHL. You have Addison Russell, Major League Baseball. What is driving this violence? And are there any type of concrete indications or some sort remedial or some way to calm them down?
Caller, that's a very good question. We have couple more minutes here. I really appreciate the call. Dr. Surridge, you want us to take another call? You'll answer probably both as you try. Answer this one and then get to the next one.
Well, there are, I think, certain sports where you're at some level selecting for violence. Football in particular, not soccer, the other comment
Wrestling.
was on, I suppose wrestling, although that's a whole nother conversation. Hockey, you're selecting for people that can hit other people. That's part of the game. So to, I guess, assume if you're selecting for that trait that you're not going to have some higher frequency of violence off the field would probably be
Naive,
not well
maybe.
informed.
Maybe a little naive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that we should tolerate that. I think that's a whole nother line of thinking. Whatever you tolerate is acceptable. And when the NFL or NHL or whoever tolerates behavior that's unacceptable, then it's going to continue. So my thought on this is whatever you tolerate is acceptable, and we've tolerated too much.
Yes, caller, we need to bring you back next year to talk about this. It seems to be a hot topic. Caller, Dr. Peter KB St. Jean here, Dr. Jack Surridge. May I please have your question or your comment?
Hello, why do students from Chicago choose to attend North Park as an education in athletics? What is your competitive advantage?
Oh, the caller wants to know what is the why should a student of Chicago choose North Park University? What is your competitive advantage? Very good question, caller. Very good question. Our junior caller. Yes.
Yes, well, I'm obviously slightly biased because this is where I work, and it's just a great place. It's a great institution. Have lots of people that care about you and will care about you. And more than just your success in athletics. We want you to get your degree. We want you to get a great job. People aren't going to be invested in you. So you would be, I think, challenged both on the athletic side and the academic side. We've got great facilities, got a great faculty, great staff, and all these things contribute. Now, we're also in a very competitive conference. the CCIW among Division III conferences is tremendously competitive. Whoever is a top team in our conference is nationally ranked, often several teams nationally ranked. So, say in basketball right now, we have 3 teams that have been nationally ranked out of 9 that are in the conference. So, whether it's track or whether it's basketball or football or you name it, the CCIW has a great record for being very competitive on the national level.
And caller is aside from the academics, you get to be in my class. I'm the I am the chair of the Department of Sociology at North Park University. I constantly try to seek to recruit students from the university, from Chicago, to come to this nonprofit organization, Christian University, to learn to develop the life of the mind. And you can study with professors like me and others. And it seems that we are towards the end of the road, right? Can you believe that? Time flies when you're having fun. It's about time to end our show. I'm happy to be here. I love my jacket, the gift here from my guest. I'm going to be sporting this some other time. We have one more show for the year. We have a surprise guest. Should I tell you? Okay, we'll be talking with Samantha Moon. She'll be performing in Chicago this week, next weekend, and when we'll be interviewing her as our last show. She'll be coming live from Minnesota. But I want to thank Dr. Jack Surridge for being here, folks. I want to thank you for the call.
Really appreciate it.
You brought us some good fortunes. This is the most calls that we've had in the show. I had to bring it back next year. Any final thoughts you have in a few seconds for callers?
Well, I just want to encourage all of you, I would say prospective student athletes, consider North Park. It's a great school. And whatever level you are right now, whether you're in 6th grade or 8th grade or junior in high school, finish strong. That's what coaches look at. Be consistent. Be somebody that your teammates trust. That's my advice.
I could not say it any better. Dr. Peter Kibiseja, I will see you next week on the 28th of December of 2018. Meanwhile, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Keep loving each other. I'll see you next time.